sexual harassment scandal hitting the Senate. President Trump denouncing Democratic Senator Al Franken after a Los Angeles radio show host accused the Minnesota senator of forcibly kissing her and groping her during a 2006 USO tour before Franken took public office. The president tweeted this: "The Al Frankenstein picture is really bad, speaks 1,000 words. Where do his hands go in pictures 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 while she sleeps?" And to think that just last week he was lecturing anyone who would listen about sexual harassment and respect for women. Leslie Stahl tape. Senator Franken apologized in a statement that read in part this: "I respect women. I don't respect men who don't. And the fact that my own actions have given people a good reason to doubt, that makes me feel ashamed." Joining us right now to weigh in is former Deputy Secretary of Labor under President Obama, now Senior Fellow at the University of Virginia Miller Center, Chris Liu, along with campaign strategist for Texas Senator Ted Cruz, Jason Johnson. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So let me kick it off with you, Mr. Liu. Your thoughts here.
Sexual harassment is not a partisan issue, and these are serious allegations, and as leaders on both sides of the Senate have said, it needs to be investigated. I will say this, Maria. I worked 12 years in the House and Senate, and you don't need to spend more than a week on Capitol Hill to hear these kinds of rumors, and I think this is really the tip of the iceberg, and where this eventually leads, I don't think anyone really knows at this point.
And what do you say to that, Jason Johnson? I mean, a lot of people are actually speculating there are a lot more to come. It is the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely. On this we can agree. It's the tip of the iceberg. It's not good. It's not a partisan issue. And we really don't know where it'll go. I think one of the interesting things is the suggestion that Senator Franken will be investigated by the Ethics Committee go forward for activity that occurred before he was in the Senate. That'll be an interesting precedent to set.
Jason, I'm glad you brought that up, because the Ethics Committee has found 0 violations and actually hasn't held anybody accountable, even after hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of complaints. So don't you think that's just a waste of taxpayers' dollars and just a really smokescreen?
Very reasonable argument. I heard many people last night raising the question and basically looking at the history of the Ethics Committee and saying, is this just where things go to die? And is this a way to sweep it aside and move on? And the real waste of tax dollars, by the way, I think the most alarming thing is the report on the, I believe it was roughly $15 million of my money and your money that's been secretly paid out to victims that have been sexually harassed by members of Congress.
As a woman, as a conservative woman, witnessing this, and Al Franken never met the man, but in my experiences with some other very left-leaning liberals, they can use their political position as cover for bad behavior toward women. That they present themselves as more intellectually superior to people who don't agree with them. They're more highly evolved. Yeah, the fact that he says in that statement, by the way, the first statement he issued, he had to issue a second statement yesterday.
Like Anthony Weiner, by the way.
As to the photo, it was clearly intended to be funny, but wasn't. I shouldn't have done it. Was Al Franken's part of his first statement.
By the way, what's so funny about it?
Right. When was groping or seeming to grope a woman a laugh riot 11 years ago? And they use this as cover. They are condescending, they are hypocritical, they are sanctimonious. And then he issues another statement saying, I respect women. You know what? You don't really learn to respect women over a decade-long period. That's something that you learn as a young man. And clearly, this was an abuse of power, and he was trying to belittle her and shame her. And it's just disgusting. And I wanted to point out one thing that President Trump tweeted about the Leslie Stahl tape. President Trump appears to be referencing, there was a New York Magazine article that quoted Al Franken back in 1995 when he was a Saturday Night Live writer. He offered a joke about Leslie Stahl while writing a sketch about Andy Rooney on 60 Minutes, and it involved Leslie Stahl being passed out and her being taken to a closet and raped. So this is a joke that he wrote, allegedly, back in about 12 years ago. So that's what President Trump I think he's referencing.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah, but demeaning women and even abusing women, that was humor to him? No, it is about power, it's about manipulation, and it is just the most appalling behavior. And there's a photograph of it. I was listening to other networks in the car yesterday, shouting at the top of my lungs, "There's a photograph! Yeah. There's a photograph!"
As they question it,
try to explain it away
and throw it under the mat.
Right.
So let me switch gears and get your take on this, Chris, because Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is now saying that Bill Clinton should have resigned after the Monica Lewinsky affair came to light nearly 20 years ago. What do you think?
Well, I think she later clarified that had that conduct come up under this political environment, it might have been seen under a different political lens. We say that, and obviously, you know, we have the Access Hollywood tape of now President Trump. We have the allegations against Roy Moore. You need to look at this all in a whole, and I don't think we understand at this point yet what those standards are. How do you evaluate allegations with a photo versus allegations involving a yearbook? How do you evaluate the time? What are the standards when you're looking at a political election versus legal proceedings? I mean, we are in uncharted territory right now, and as I said earlier, I don't know where we know how this is going to end.
Well, what do you mean? How do you differentiate? I mean, you differentiate. There's a picture. What do you need to differentiate from a yearbook?
Well, look,
the pictures there. The evidence is clear, right?
Pictures there, but, you know, as your own network has reported, there are now, I think, 8 or 9 women who have made allegations against Roy Moore. There's probably an equal number that have made allegations against the president. So if they deny the allegations, yet you have other evidence and you have their testimony, I'm inclined to believe all of these women's testimony, and I think we need to sort out then what all of this means. It's simply denying it doesn't absolve you of your responsibility.
Just to be clear, there are no allegations against the president.
There are allegations against Donald Trump from when he was from an earlier period of time.
He said during the campaign that wasn't true. In fact, didn't he say also that, you know, all of this will come to light and there will be a lawsuit? I mean,
well,
you know.
So Maria,
we're talking about a situation where we have a picture with the guy's hands on her breast.
Unquestionably, and I am not. No, I am not absolving.
You can't compare the two, Chris.
Maria, I am not absolving that in any way. I'm simply saying so. We deny the allegations of those women that have made those claims.
I don't know where that stands. I mean, I don't think that. I think this was during the campaign. I mean, you're comparing something that is apples to oranges. It's not the same at all.
This is conduct that happened before both of these people were in public office. These things need to be scrutinized. And simply saying, hey, this didn't happen, all these women made it up.
Look, the headline here is you have a sitting U.S. senator saying what President Clinton did was wrong, and we have an opportunity right now to take care of it. With another sitting U.S. senator, we have a picture of. Okay, right. So what do you want to do about that? I think that's really the headline here, not something about Donald Trump.
All right, we will leave it there. Chris Lowe, Jason Johnson, thanks very much for weighing in. These are tough subjects.